A refrigerator bought in 1996 was expected to run for 20 years, and plenty of them did. The average modern refrigerator is now given 7 to 10. Nothing about keeping food cold got harder in those 30 years. The compressor did not get worse. Physics did not change. I'm Rick Dawson. But something did get added to every refrigerator on the Best Buy showroom floor in that window. And the 2026 service data can tell you exactly what it is, because it fails in the same spot on every brand, in every price bracket, in every country of manufacture. Start with the price bracket, because that one breaks the way people expect the world to work. Walk down the refrigerator aisle, and the machines get more expensive from left to right. The plain white top freezer costs around $900. The stainless French door model with the dispenser and the display in the door runs $3,200. Every instinct you have says the expensive one is the better machine. Now put lifespan against price. A plain top freezer, the kind with the freezer in a box above the fresh food compartment, typically runs 15 to 20 years. The French door model, with its 2 swinging doors and the freezer drawer underneath, generally lands between 10 and 15. A side-by-side sits in between. So the $900 machine that ran 19 years cost about $47 for every year you owned it. The $3,200 machine that quit in year 11 cost $290. Same food, same kitchen, same job, roughly 6 times the money per year of service. Therefore, the first decision you make in that store, before you look at a single price tag or badge, is the decision that matters most. You are not choosing a brand. You are choosing how many things can break. And there is one specific thing that breaks more than anything else in the building. Line up the 2026 reliability data from Yale Appliance, built on 33,190 first-year service calls, next to the J.D. Power survey of 12,755 American households. Both land on the same category. French door refrigerators are the most service-prone refrigerators sold in this country. And inside that category, both datasets point at one component, the ice maker. Not the ice maker in the freezer, the one mounted inside the fresh food compartment, up in the door, or tucked into the top corner behind the butter shelf. That placement is the single most common source of refrigerator failure across every brand. And the reason comes down to physics. An ice maker has to hold water below freezing. The fresh food compartment is held around 37 degrees, and it is the most humid part of the machine because you keep opening the door and letting the kitchen in. So the manufacturer has to build a small freezer inside a refrigerator, insulate it, seal it, and run a dedicated cold air duct up to it. Every one of those seals is a place moisture gets in. Once moisture gets in, it freezes onto the ice maker housing. Frost builds across the assembly. The fan blade hits the frost, and the whole thing stops. Samsung got sued over exactly this in New Jersey federal court starting in 2017. The case was dismissed in 2024 after individual settlement offers, and there has never been a nationwide recall. But treating this as a Samsung story misses it completely, because the physics does not care whose name is on the door. Whirlpool does it, GE does it, LG does it. The compromise is welded into the format. Open the left door of any French door model on the showroom floor. If there is a white plastic box in the top corner with a metal arm inside it, that is the failure point, sitting in the warmest, wettest air in the machine. Move that ice maker down into the freezer where cold is already free, and you have deleted the most common failure in the entire refrigerator. Which brings up the second thing that got added during the same window. That same J.D. Power survey separated connected appliances from unconnected ones. The refrigerators with Wi-Fi and a touchscreen in the door came back at 87 problems per 100 units. The ones without came back at 63. That is roughly 40% more failure for a screen most owners touch twice, and the second time is usually by accident. The screen itself almost never fails. What fails is the control board behind it, the Wi-Fi module beside it, the wiring harness threaded up through the door hinge, and the firmware that has to keep working long after the manufacturer stops updating it. And when the control board for a 4-door model goes out of production, that repair becomes the reason somebody buys a new refrigerator. There is an old avocado green refrigerator humming away in a garage in your neighborhood right now, holding beer at 34 degrees, running on a mechanical timer, and about 9 wires. That thing survives on subtraction. There is almost nothing inside it that can go wrong. Now, about where these machines are actually built. The old advice was to flip the tag on the back and check the country. Made in America meant tighter tolerances and better quality control. And for a long stretch, that advice was correct. It has quietly stopped being useful. The same brand now assembles the same model line in 2 or 3 different countries depending on the year and the plant. And the compressor, the control board, and the evaporator fan very often come from the same handful of suppliers no matter where final assembly happens. A refrigerator screwed together in Kentucky and one screwed together in Mexico can be running the identical compressor from the identical factory. The sticker changed, the failure point did not. What varies between 2 otherwise identical machines is the parts pipeline behind them. A sealed system failure on a model with parts on the shelf and a technician 40 minutes away is a repair. The same failure with a 6-week back order and nobody local who will touch it is a new refrigerator. Identical build quality, opposite outcome. That is a large part of why independent repair companies keep recommending GE. The engineering is solid enough, but what they mean is the parts are usually in stock and somebody nearby will actually come out and fit them. So call an appliance repair shop in your town before you buy anything and ask which brands they refuse to work on. 5 minutes on the phone beats every review you are going to read. Complexity and sourcing explain most of the decline. The rest gets done to the machine after delivery, usually inside the first hour. Every manufacturer prints a clearance specification in the installation manual, and it generally comes out to about 1 inch on each side and 1 to 2 inches at the back. Almost nobody reads it. The refrigerator gets slid into a cabinet opening that fits it exactly, which looks like a beautiful installation and is actually the beginning of the end. Behind and underneath the machine sit the condenser coils. That is where the heat pulled out of your food gets dumped back into the kitchen. Choke the airflow and the heat has nowhere to go, so the compressor runs longer to reach the same temperature. Modern refrigerators already run close to 80 to 90% of the time because efficiency standards push the industry toward long, quiet, low output cycles instead of the loud start and stop of an older unit. Take a compressor that already runs almost constantly, then make it work harder against trapped heat, and you are not shortening the life of that machine by a little. The same thing happens from the inside when the coils clog. Pet hair, dust, and cooking grease build into a gray felt blanket across the condenser, and the effect is identical to the cabinet being too tight. Repair technicians tell a version of the same story constantly. A refrigerator gets hauled to the curb. Somebody drags it into a shop, takes a screwdriver to the back panel, and finds a condenser packed solid with dog hair. 20 minutes with a coil brush and a shop vacuum, and the unit runs another 6 years. The owner threw away a working $3,000 appliance because nobody ever told them there was a panel back there. So drag yours out. Once every 12 months if you have no pets. Once every 6 if you do. That one habit does more for the lifespan of your refrigerator than every brand comparison in this video combined. If this is useful, subscribe. I take apart what actually fails in the appliances people buy every week. Because that finally brings us to brands and to the strangest thing about refrigerator advice in 2026. Yale Appliance publishes an annual reliability report built on real service calls placed by its own technicians, tens of thousands of them every year. In that data, LG posts a first-year service rate around 5.5%, which puts it among the most reliable brands sold in America beside Miele and Bosch. Now hold that next to what happens when somebody interviews independent repair companies instead. 7 of them asked the same question. LG and Samsung came back named as the least reliable refrigerator brands overwhelmingly. The brands those repair companies kept recommending were Whirlpool, GE, and KitchenAid. Both findings are accurate. I have watched that gap widen for a few years now, and the explanation turns out to be simple. They are measuring different years of the same refrigerator's life. A first-year service rate counts how many units needed a technician within 12 months of delivery. That is a manufacturing quality number. An independent repair company sees refrigerators at year 5, year 7, year 9, which is when sealed systems and compressors start letting go. Therefore, a brand can genuinely build a clean unit that leaves the factory perfect and still be the brand filling repair shops 6 years later. So the useful question was never which brand is most reliable. It is which brand is reliable at the age you actually plan to still own it. With that in mind, the honest answers by style. For a top freezer, GE stays the safest pick, and the whole category benefits from having almost nothing in it. No dispenser, no door ice, one evaporator, and a parts catalog that stays in print. GE leads the J.D. Power top mount category with one of the deepest service networks in the country. For side-by-side, the ice maker lives in the freezer where cold is free, which removes the exact failure the rest of the industry is fighting. GE leads the J.D. Power side-by-side category too. For French door, and most people are going to buy French door no matter what anybody says, the move is buying the version without ice and water in the door. Manufacturers do sell them, usually for a few $100s less. Whirlpool and KitchenAid both build single evaporator models that technicians speak well of, and Bosch turns up consistently under a 10% first-year service rate. For anyone with real budget, the picture changes completely. Sub-Zero puts a 12-year warranty on its sealed system. No company underwrites 12 years of compressor failures unless the compressors are not failing. Miele engineers its machines to roughly 10,000 hours of operation, which works out to about 20 years of household use. Both come from the same philosophy: fewer parts, built heavier, which leaves the brand I have been circling this entire time. LG spent years attached to one specific story, the linear compressor, an elegant piece of engineering that failed often enough to become the defining fact about the company inside the repair trade. That reputation was earned honestly. But the service data coming out of 2026 no longer matches it, and LG now sits in the same first-year reliability tier as the German brands people pay double for. I am not going to tell you the repair technicians are wrong. The machines they are cursing at in their vans are real. But numbers that clean are hard to wave away. If the sealed system problems are genuinely behind them, LG stops being a warning and turns into a recommendation. So call that local repair shop and ask what they are seeing in units built within the last 2 years. Then let their answer decide it. The badge on the door came fourth. The style came first. The ice maker came second. The screen came third, and a long way down the list, the name. Buy the simplest machine that fits the way you actually live. Keep the ice in the freezer or on the counter. Leave an inch of air on every side of it and drag it out once a year to vacuum the coils. Do those 4 things and almost any refrigerator sold this year beats the average. Skip them and the best brand in America is still going to be sitting at your curb in year 8, while that avocado green thing in the garage keeps running out of pure spite. I'm Rick Dawson. There is a lot more where this came from, and the next one takes apart the appliance that fails faster than anything else in your kitchen.